Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to Ad Hoc Tutorials video channel. In this tutorial I will show you how to set up a remote repository Git server on CentOS 7. This is not the tutorial about the Git itself. Rather, we'll just create a Git repository server to keep our Git projects and Git repositories. This is needed in case you do not want to use public Git services like GitHub or Bitbucket and etc. And you need to create your own Git server and to share with your team, for example. Let's start. First we configure the Git server itself. My Git server will be located at this IP address. This is a blank CentOS 7 server. First, we update the system and install Nano text editor. Now that our system is up to date, let's install the Nano editor. Next, we'll install Git and enable Git shell using these commands. Now we'll create the separate group. We'll name it Git users and we'll add all Git users to this group and enable the passwordless authentication for the users of this group using adding these lines to this file. This is configuration of SSH. We'll use the public private key authentication. Let's restart the SSH service because we have changed the configuration. Now we create the folder, the directory where we will keep our Git repositories. Let's name it just repositories folder and create it in root folder. Now let's create the test user. We'll name it Git user 1 and its group will be Git users. Also, we need to create the authorized case file where we'll put the public key which will generate later. Also, the default shell for Git user will be Git shell. Let's execute these commands. Now we create the sample repository and we'll name this repository Git repo 1 and init the empty repository here. And we'll grant access for Git user to the newly created Git repository using these commands. In your case, you will replace the username and repository name correspondingly. Now we'll pause our server-side configuration and we'll go to client PC. So this is my client PC from where I will connect to my Git repository server. First, we need to download Git. You may download Git from this URL. Is this one. Let's go to the client PC. I have already downloaded it. Let's install the executable. Let's use Notepad++. After Git is installed, we'll generate the public-private key pair using this command in git bash. Let's open git bash. And execute the command. Here it displays the default path of the private key. We leave the passphrase empty. This is the path for public key. Let's go to this folder. C users, user, SSH. So this is the public key. This is the contents of the public key. Next, we need to put the contents of the public key into authorized keys file created earlier. Let's copy and go to the server. Copy this. And put the public key in authorized keys of the corresponding user. Now let's check if our Git repository is accessible from the client PC. We'll create the test folder and we will initialize the Git project here. We'll create 2 files and we'll try to push the repository to our remote folder. Let's run these commands. Now we initialize the empty project. Next, we configure our default username and email. Let's create the test files. Let's commit the changes. Add the remote repository. This is my user created previously. This is the IP address of the server. You may use the hostname as well. And this is the name of remote repository. And we push the branch, master branch. It seems the process is succeeded. Now create another folder. First, we created the folder test1 with the two test files inside it, and pushed the changes into the Git server. Now we create another folder. We go there, and we'll clone the remote repository into this folder. Type ls. Here is the second folder, and the files are there. As you can see, the remote repository is accessible from the client PC. You may use the same procedure described here to add multiple users. This is the end of the tutorial. You may check the original article on my website at hooktuts.com. The original link is provided in the video description below. In conclusion, we have installed Git on the CentOS. We have created the Git users group with passwordless authentication. We have created directory to hold the remote repositories. We have created the test user in the server side. We have created the test repository, and we have provided access to the test user for the newly created repository. We have installed the Git on the client PC. We have generated a public-private key pair using sshkgen command in Git bash. We have pasted the public key into authorized case in the Git server, and we have tested if the remote repository is accessible from the client PC. Hope this was useful for you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.